hello, and welcome to the QetvLive show with your host, Miss H. I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I hope everyone out there is enjoying this beautiful time of the season. I want you to really know this is such a great time for just spreading love and good cheer. As always, you are watching the QetvLive show with your host, Miss H. And I want you to know that Jesus is the reason for this season, this time of the year. So as you go out there, just remember those that that are having tough times or maybe homeless or out in the cold. I think they just got the first report of a gentleman in the Washington, D.C. area, unfortunately passed away because of the cold weather. So check on your neighbors, check on your friends, check on seniors. If you have seniors in your neighborhood, on your block, or in your building, just check on them, tug on them, call home, see what's going on with people. There's so many toy drives and coat drives. Give a coat, give a hand, lend a hand at Christmas time, because you are being a blessing and you're helping during this most wonderful holiday season. People are really in a good spirit of giving and love and just a good time. So I was out again, as I was sharing, looking at the Salvation Army as they ringing the pots as they, as you go into the grocery store. And last week I had shared with you that they have stepped up their game. You now can scan at the pot and you can Apple Pay to the Salvation Army. So everyone is learning how to adopt themselves to electronics, social media, and have it adequate where you can give. So there's no reason and no excuse for not giving, because now they make it really easy for you to give. So, or they'll tell you, I had seen a flyer where one daycare center told the parents that they didn't even have to wait to give Christmas gifts to the teacher. They're soliciting gift cards. Like every week you just bring in a gift card, and what they're going to do is distribute these gift cards to the teachers. That way one teacher is not getting more than another teacher, and that all teachers have a sense of appreciation and love. So everyone is learning how to just spread the love and just give during this time in this season. Give to your favorite barber, give to your favorite hairdresser. What about the mailman? This is time of year we can appreciate those who have served us all throughout the year. And they have online, you actually can go online and see, how do you tip the barber at Christmas? How do you give to the United States postal worker? I can't say postman because now females feel left out, so we can't say fireman anymore. We have to say firefighter. It's gender neutral, so we have to make sure that we are inclusive with everyone. But find out, what they like and what you can give to them without, breaking any rules or getting into any legal problems, because I wouldn't want you to be giving money to the even the sanitation department. We have a really nice two nice guys that come on our block that they're just so impressionable. They are very friendly and kind. They take their time. They don't throw your trash receptacle all over the front. They place it, or they will place it on the porch. They just go out of their way. So we should go out of our way during this time of the year and just be a blessing. After saying that, I just want to read the scripture that always get to my heart and always help me to remember why we celebrate this time of the year. And I'm reminded of Isaiah 9:6, and I'm going to read it from the King James Version. It says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder." So we don't have to take on the weight of the world. We have someone who was born and took on the weight of the world for us. And he shall be called, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. So that's why this season is called a season that Jesus is the reason for the season, because they're talking about, we all know him at this time of the year as little baby Jesus when he came into the world, but he didn't stay a baby. We know that he grew in wisdom and stature, and he became the Savior of the world. But Jesus came and he brought us peace. He brought us love. He brought us forgiveness. And that's why we should be spreading that this time of the year. Because if it was not for him entering into this world, and that leads me to my purpose today for my show. My show today is all about you discovering your purpose. It's all about you understanding who you are. Because for that reason, the Bible says, at the appointed time, God sent Jesus into the world. He came at the right time to fulfill his purpose and his destiny for mankind. That's the only reason he was born. He was born to die. Now, what about you? What were you born to do? Selah. I'm pausing there. Think about it. What were you born to do? What is your purpose? Do you know why you are here? Who are you? Those are questions today that I want you to be able to self-analyze and look at yourself in the mirror. And if you don't know the answer to those questions, I have hope for you today, because my special guest today, Mr. Allen S. Wilson, is here to talk about his book, Discovering the Purpose of You, the Product. And the title of the book is called The Manufacturer's Manual. So I want you to go and call someone. I want you to share this information with someone. Get on social media. Call them up. Moms, if you got sons and daughters and they're running around and they're not understanding who they are, what their purpose in life, nieces, nephew, if you got teachers, if you are out there, and you may come across this video at a later time, it doesn't matter who you are. From 0 to 100, you can always know that God created you with a purpose. And we are going to help you today supplement some information to help you discover your God-given purpose in this earth. I don't want you to go anywhere, because the answer to what you've been praying about and what you've been asking God for is coming up. I also want to read really quickly before I go on a station break. Let me find it for you, about purpose, because all of us was born with a purpose. You're not here in this earth just to take up space, okay? You're here for a reason. And I want to read from you from the book of Ruth 2 and 6. No, that's not the one I want. I want the other one. I want the other one. I want the one that I found in Ezra, because this one here, when I read it, it helped me to understand that if you don't come to know and to understand your purpose and who you are, listen to what can happen. In Ezra 4 and 5, it says there was hired counselors hired against Ezra, who was helping to rebuild the temple of God. They were hired against them to frustrate their purpose. They did not want the children of Israel to go back and rebuild the walls that would keep out the enemy and bring them to a place where they could go back to worshiping God and live a life of purpose and meaning as a Jewish nation. So when they were in captivity, and when the men went back to begin to say, Ezra says, I'm going to start the rebuilding of the wall, there was an enemy, people sent to frustrate their purpose. And that's what happens to a lot of us when we don't have clear directions and we're not focused. The enemy easily set in to frustrate your purpose. But there's hope and there's help for you today. Remember, I have a special guest today that's going to help you identify and help you to start thinking about who you are, what you were created to do, and how to find your God-given purpose so you won't have frustration anymore. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
So you like smooth jazz? Great. Horn of Plenty, Harvest Harmony from saxophonist Travis Bridges. Smooth jazz and all the sax you'll ever need. Available at travisbridges.com. 786-487-7338. Horn of Plenty from Travis Bridges. All the sax you'll ever need.
You're watching the QetvLive live show with your host, Mrs. H. Tune in at voxwave.com or call in at 240-719-2560. Again, that's 240-719-2560. We're located at 4711 Off Place in Camp Springs, Maryland. Watch live the QetvLive live show every Thursday from 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Would you like to be a guest on the QetvLive live show with your host, Mrs. H? You may reach her at 240-353-3806. Again, that's 240-353-3806, or email QetvLive@gmail.com. The QetvLive live show is bridging inspiration and information for everyday life.
Hello and welcome back to QetvLive Live Show with your host, Miss H. I hope you have had an opportunity to grab you some water, get you a pen and paper, because we're getting ready to dive into the manufacturer's manual, discovering your God-given purpose, discovering you, and finding out why you are here. So help me welcome to the show Mr. Allen S. Wilson. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. God bless you.
Thank you, Miss H.
And happy holidays to you.
Well, happy holidays to you.
Look, you got on green. You're in the spirit of Christmas already.
Well, thank you.
You have on a nice color. I got a little red going on, so we're gelling up here with our colors, our Christmas decor. But you were on my show back in actually January of this year.
Correct.
I can't believe that it's been that long ago, but
year.
I'm so glad that you're back, because we really didn't finish what we were talking about. So today we're going to pick it apart a little more. But what I want you to do is introduce to those who, for the first time, that didn't get a chance to know who Mr. Allen S. Wilson is. Tell them who you are, where you're from, and how you got started with the manufacturer's manual.
My name is Allen Wilson. I'm originally from New York City. In addition to that, born to and that goes with the book also. My mother was a single mother, born in the ghetto. So I come from the concrete jungle. So I don't know much about farming or anything like that. I joined the United States Air Force when I was about 20 years old. And from there, I spent some time as an aircraft engine technician. So as an aircraft engine technician, I learned to take things apart and put things together.
Oh.
And I went line upon line, precept upon precept. And those words and what I just said, I learned while being in the United States Air Force. And that kind of the background of the manufacturer's manual, because only the manufacturer knows what he has placed in the product in order for the product to yield the result for which the product was intended, or why the product was created.
Now, you know you're going to have to say that again. First of all, I want to say, since I heard the Air Force part,
Okay.
I always want to stop and thank people for their service. So thank you for your service to our country. But I want you to go back over that little part you said, because that was a mouthful, just so that our viewers can get it for you.
So when the manufacturer creates a product or a service, the manufacturer actually puts in the product, such as a DVD player or a computer or something like that, puts in it the components, the features, and the functions that are necessary to yield the result. Most of us, when we go to the store, really don't care what's on the inside.
Right.
We just want the product to yield the result for the reason why we bought it. But the manufacturer actually puts all the components, the functions, and the features on the inside in order for it to yield the results, for it to be successful. Well, God is like that. He created us. He put all the functions, the features, and what is on the inside of us in order to yield the results or the intentions of why he sent each and every one of us to the earth. All 6 billion people of us and plus.
Oh, and I can just feel your passion. You're exuberating this information, so that lets me know that you are passionate about what you believe, and that you have studied this thing, and this thing is on the inside of you. So we're going to get right into it. Actually, I have some, and this to help me as well, with some, if Ron could throw it up for me. What I would like to do today, Mr. Wilson, is last time you were on, we ran out of time a little bit. But we're going to break down some of these things, and you don't have to use all of these points, but just for my viewers to help them understand this wonderful book, The Manufacturer's Manual, Discovering the Purpose of You. Purpose. Who am I? Can we start with that question?
Yes.
And you begin there, and then we want to go into why am I here, what my purpose is, how do I start, and where am I going? Can you help us break down some of that? We can take it off the screen now. We're going to start with who am I? Tell me about who I am if I read this book? How can I discover who I am?
Well, one of the things you're going to find is we're going to extract. What I did was read the Bible, study the Bible.
Okay.
I'm going to go back a little bit and bring my Air Force career into this a little bit, because it's paramount to the book.
Great.
And the reason why it's paramount to the book, when I was an aircraft engine technician, we had to take a aircraft engine down to its bolt and build it back up, and also put it on what we call an operational test cell. And so in that process, I learned about plumbing, I learned about components, I learned about features, and how to connect all those different things. And while I was doing that, God was actually ministering to me and teaching me how His nature, how I was put together, how we are put together. So as I was putting those major components together, all the plumbing, just like your car, I mean, most of us are concerned with just one thing. We get in, and crank it. But there's a lot of moving parts in there. Fuel parts, there's transmission parts. All those are connected by plumbing. They interact and they work together. And God was showing me those components are just like the physical components and also the spiritual components that He has placed within each and every one of us in order for us to be successful. Wow. And a lot of it has to do with also where we come from. We also come from God, but also we have a genealogy. We have a DNA. We're familiar with that term. We come from or come through something. We have inherited some things from our forefathers that also help us become successful. And sometimes you hear this. I know when I hear sometimes, well, you look like your mother. Well, you look like your uncle. You look like your great granddad. Dad. Those are the kind of the attributes. Those are the things that help you understand who you are, what you are, what are your dislikes and dislikes. Your uncle was like this, and you be like, where did that come from? I like this too. But your father, your mother may not have taught you. But at the same time, you might have inherited certain likes and dislikes from your genealogy or from your DNA. And that helps you kind of chart your course on your future, on what you like and what you don't like.
So with that question, who am I? If I'm made up of all these people, I look like my mom, or I look like my dad, or maybe I look like both, or I act like my uncle or act like my aunt, who am I? Then that can be a little bit confusing. So trace me back. Who am I then? Because am I all these people mixed in one, or how do I identify who I am and separate myself from all these moving parts?
Right. Okay. So just like an aircraft engine or your car engine, you have different parts that serve a particular purpose. Each part serves a particular purpose. What used to be a fuel, like a fuel control or transmission, all these things work together, and they all have a particular part. So you are the sum total. Of what your forefathers has placed in you. All right. So if you're 6 feet tall or something like that, you may have and you're athletic, you may have a predisposition for a sport like basketball, but you may not. You may not have that desire to do that. Or you may, if you're really more analytical per se, you may want to go in the area of engineering, for example. Or if you're musical, you may have that sound. You can pick that up quickly. Those things come through you from somebody, and you had the opportunity. You had the opportunity to actually somebody modeled that, or you were exposed to that at some point. And that's and you be like, oh yeah, that's what I like. No, I don't like that. I like this.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm noticing online now, and especially they're even offering it for you to buy as Christmas gifts to your family. All the ancestry and looking up your roots and tracing back. People really are getting into that more than ever before now. They're taking these kits and they're going into finding out what their history is like, to see what they were made up of. Like you says, if there's something they're predisposed of or open to, maybe this was in my family lineage. And that could be good or bad.
That could, exactly.
So it's kind of, you can open yourself up to a lot of information. So as you said, the manufacturer has given us a manual, but how do we know how to take that manual and make this make sense to us as to who we are?
So the manufacturer's manual is the Bible.
Okay, so that's the identification.
Right.
So the Bible is what you're calling the manual.
Yes.
Okay, you all heard that. So we know now the manual is the Bible.
So this book does not necessarily answer all the questions like the Bible, but what it does is gives you kind of a guideline to help us in certain things that that are common to all of us.
Okay.
We all want to be successful in our relationships, such as marriage. We all want to be successful in taking care of this physical body. So I talk about meals and water and things like that. We all want to be successful in different arenas of our life. I don't think anybody wants to just get up in the morning and just say, you know what, I want to fail.
Yeah. No, I don't think nobody get up with that intention in mind. Everybody has a need to be somebody, to be loved. Right. So you're absolutely right.
Right. So what the manufacturer does, he has given us, just like I had a manual or regulation, we just couldn't put the engine together any old way. No, you couldn't. You had to go line upon line, precept upon precept. You had to make sure somebody was also watching over your shoulder to make sure things were being put together properly. You had we call mating flanges, and things were just going put together. Well, God is like that too. He has people in our lives, such as older adults, mature adults, to help us not only model, but also guide us, as it were, in addition to his word, also in addition to what we talked about, Jesus Christ, in addition to the Holy Spirit as a guide and to direct us. And we also have the Father.
Oh, I love it.
He is Father. And that's a sense of security. And one of the number one needs of man, humans, is Father.
Yes.
You know, it's just it does something to you, and it brings a sense of security and want, and know that you're complete. Or you can find yourself that there's more to me than just meets the eye.
So you're saying that we know now that the Bible is the manual. Again, we're talking about we're visiting with Mr. Allen S. Wilson, the author of the Manufacturing Manual, Discovering the Purpose of You, the product. And as he just stated, this manual that he's calling the manufacturing manual is the Bible. And the manufacturer, I would suppose, is God himself.
Yes.
I love that. Now, God created us. That's what Genesis said, God created us. But it sounds like, to me, what you're saying, that once he created us, he didn't just leave us by ourselves to hopefully live through this world and have no sense of where we're supposed to go, what we're supposed to do. So you're saying that he put a guide here.
Yes.
He put directions for us.
Yes.
He left us a set of instructions.
Yes.
Okay, so now that I know where I came from, God himself created me, how do I discover my purpose to be able to manipulate now this process? Because I'm frustrated. You remember I read with Ezra where people was placed to frustrate his purpose. And you know, when kids are growing up, if they get hold of the wrong crowd or they get exposed to the wrong thing, they're going in a different direction. Bring me back to my purpose. How do I discover my God-given purpose?
Let's go back to the source, back to the manufacturer.
Okay.
If a product starts to operate independent instead of dependent on the manufacturer, then you can misuse or abuse yourself. So what would it be like if me as a product say, hey, you know what, or go to another product, another like product. Hey, how am I supposed to operate? We're both the same. We're both, in a sense, we're both the same. We come from the same source. So we'll be, in order to maximize the potential, the product, all that is used, it would behoove the product to go to the source, to the manufacturer, because sometimes a like product, we can help each other, we can assist each other.
Are you calling me a product?
No, ma'am.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it to that degree. That personally, I'm just saying that when you says discovering the product, we are the product, God's product, prize product.
Right,
So I'm going to put it like that.
Yes.
We're a prize product. So I didn't mean, I should have clarified myself.
That's okay.
Because you were saying product, so I just wanted to clarify it for the viewers. So we are God's creation, which is his product. So we're interchanging the word creation and product.
That's fine.
So when you hear these terms, they're being interchanged in our speech. So I don't go to another product or another creation to discover my purpose.
Right, exactly.
I have to go to the manufacturer, which is the source of my discovery.
Right.
Okay. How do I go when I don't even believe that he created me?
Well, you have to it starts with belief. You have to start from somewhere. God, let's go back. The Father has presented himself to us in such a way, in different ways, whether in nature, whether through our upbringing. At some point, we have to start to recognize, or what's on the inside. So he has laid on the inside, each one of us, something that says, that cries out, Father, or that cries out to God. Sometimes we ignore it. Sometimes we don't pay attention to it, but it's always there. And so it's there for a purpose, and it's there so we'll go in that direction.
So innately, even though atheists will say there is no God, but because down on the inside us, the way we were created, there is a way or wired. There is something on the inside that truly knows that something greater than you created you.
That's right.
So there is no excuse.
There's no excuse.
So that could be part of the initial problem. You know, they used to tell people, when I have talked to people who've been set free from drugs and alcohol, and they said the first discovery was they had to discover that they were. You know, that was 90% of the battle. You had to admit you had a problem. So in order to discover truly your purpose, you need to admit that you were created by the manufacturer.
Right.
So that's the first part of the journey.
Yes.
And then now I must believe that.
Yes.
So now that I come to you, okay, you've talked to me, I've read your book, and I'm beginning to say, there's something to discovering this. Maybe something bigger than me did create me. But I don't know what to do with me because I got all these different traits in me, and I love a lot of things. How do I narrow down? You know, back to this question again, Ron, I'm going to throw that up real quick. Why am I here? Because now I know who I am, the manufacturer, which is God created me. I know that I am his prize product, his possession. But why am I here? How can I discover that? Let's get into that. You can take that down now. How do I know why I'm here? To really go into a little more intimate detail.
Okay.
We can take that down now. Okay.
Okay. So now that we understand, we believe, we understand the source, we have that. Now we need to seek the manufacturer or seek God on a daily basis. Okay. Now for the product or for us creation, that doesn't come easily. And the reason why it doesn't come easily because sometimes we're distracted by things that are around us. Okay. Sometimes we need to go to, let's use the term, we need to go on a fast. Okay. Now a fast is just pretty much denying yourself which is convenient for you. Now let me give you an example about a fast. I'm not only talking about food. It can include that. But also when you come home after a long day, you know, most people just, I wouldn't say most people, but sometimes we like noise. We'll turn on the TV, we'll turn on this, we'll turn on that, because we like noise. Right? Sometimes we need to get rid of we need to purposely get rid of the distractions. So we can, so some people don't like to hear themselves. That's why they like noise. All right. But sometimes we just need to get to a place, a quiet place, after all the days is consumed or finished, and just sit down and just allow the quietness of things. God speaks to us in the quiet places. He communicates to us in the quiet places. But we have to do our part. There's two parts here. The Bible talks about laborers together. Now, he's done his part, okay? He's done his part through Jesus Christ. And there's a lot that comes with that. And that's another story for another time, okay? All right? But also, we have our part to do also.
Okay.
So it would be within our best interest as the product, as his creation, to begin to operate dependent on the manufacturer or the creator, instead of trying to operate independent. And one of those ways we can start to discover, because when we start to discover him, we really start to discover ourselves, because we're starting to understand the nature. What was in the mind of the manufacturer when he created me?
Okay.
So you start to look at that, and you start to understand how he operates. Well, he operates in a small, still voice. He does that, and then at times he's like a consuming fire. Okay. And at times these are attributes of the Creator.
Right.
At times he's a father. At times, and we can kind of understand that, because we can kind of relate to that
as parents.
As parents,
yes.
and as children, as we matriculate. And so our experiences really, in a sense, kind of clues us in to how he is, and it brings us really back to ourselves.
Well, you said a really key point at the beginning of the show when you said that when you buy a product, everything you need is right there inside of it. And who we are is already on the inside of us. Like you said, we don't take the time to go to the one who made us and who can open our eyes to really see that. It's almost like Dorothy on The Wizard of Oz. Home was in her. She didn't have to go far. All she had to do, as the song says, look within herself.
Yes.
And get quiet and get by herself without all the noise, the distraction, and all the little munchkins that was about her, and all the finding the odds, but to just look deep on the inside of us. So I like that I have to, for myself, if I truly want to know, is to get quiet, as you said, spend some time with God, the manufacturer.
Yes.
And discover me as the product that God has given something to me. But the only way I'm going to extract that is to spend time with him.
That's right.
So that requires something of me.
Work. Work, and you got to be hungry.
Okay.
And what that means is, just like when you're famished, I mean, you want a good meal, and you prepare a meal, and I know it's Christmas time coming up, and everything coming up, and food and stuff like that. And sometimes we can smell the food and things like that, and that kind of works on our Savior and just stuff like that. And that's what really God's looking for in us, that desire.
Yes,
you have to want to. You have to want to construct your life in such a way. And no two people are alike.
Right.
I can't tell you, my brother over here, he was in the Army, I was in the Air Force. We were both in the military, but two different branches of the military. So two different ways of operating. But we both had an overall mission.
Right.
So it's the same thing. You have to construct your life in such a way that is beneficial for you.
It's almost like, how bad do you want it?
Right, exactly. How bad do you want it? How bad? What are you willing to do? And you might have to you might have to reorganize, restructure your life. Well, instead of coming home and watching the TV, forget that.
You done took away some TV time. But that's good, because actually, whenever you want something, it's like what you made this reference to last show when you were here. You said it's seeking after God like a man would seek after a woman when he first meet. I remember that analogy, and you said he woo her. And that's the same characteristic that God looked for us, because in the book of Psalm, it talks about as a deer panteth after water. So my soul shall pant after thee. And then he says, if you seek and thirst for me. You know, you have to have that hunger and thirst for righteousness. And he said, you're going to be filled.
Right.
So if we thirst for it and we want it bad enough, but that desire. So that leads me to what creates that sense of desire and passion. Just like I saw that passion in you when you was talking about your book. How did you get that type of passion? Because my viewers may want that passion to go after their purpose. How do you get passion and desire?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of my personal testimony. I mentioned I come from New York City. One of the things that helped me was I've always wanted to make a difference in the African American community.
Okay.
You know, and you hear about the names like Dr. Martin Luther King
Yes.
and many others, and Medgar Evers and so, and these are men and also women that have really been on the forefront of African American history and doing things and making a difference. But I've always wanted to make a difference in the African American, but I didn't know how to do that.
Right.
All right? But when Jesus came to me and kind of gave me an offer, he said, I have a way that you not only can make a difference in the African American community, but to all nations of the world. That was what I was looking for. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it,
Yeah.
but that was what I was looking for. So I would say, in terms of a passion, why do you want to do what you want to do? Is it for selfish reasons, or is it to help, say, the African American community, to help humanity, to be a benefit for humanity in some way, some shape, some form, some fashion? Is it to do something? And there's plenty of need in the world.
So
in
your
humanity.
purpose need to have a purpose.
Right. You need to have a why. You need to
why.
Yeah, you need to have a why. You
I
need
like
to know
that.
why you want to do it. Be
Yes.
real. You may not understand at this particular time how to get there.
Right.
But if you're sincere enough, God will meet you at that point, because
Okay.
really He put it in you. And so you're going back to Him to help fill that up and put that together.
I like that. That did you hear that your purpose needs to be able to answer the question why? Because it's that why that'll keep you going.
Right.
Because
Yes.
whenever and I'm sure along the way, when you got discouraged, how did you keep your why going, your purpose going, whenever distraction came? What is a motivation factor that you could tell our viewers along the way? Because it didn't happen overnight.
No.
Like you said, you went from the military, God gave you the vision, the dream, God inspired you, but there was a lot of years in between
Right.
that. How did you stay on track and focus with your why?
One of the things I did was, and this may sound a little comical, but you remember like the little briefcases we used to have, and at one time, I used to imagine this. If I got discouraged,
The ones that had the little handle?
right. So I used to imagine this, and I was younger back, but I used to imagine this. If I got discouraged or whatever, I can pop over the briefcase, and then out of this thing would come great music and all this other stuff. In reality, it wasn't like that. But
No, I understand.
But those moments, those would my mind or my imagination went to something that was positive, something that can encourage me. That song or that word that I heard that at that particular time. So I always kept the one of the things I've done is also keep feeding on the word.
Okay.
Keep feeding on the word.
Okay.
If I want to know Him, He says something. He says, "Follow on," in the Bible.
Okay.
Follow on to know Him. So He has apprehended you, but now you have to do your part to know Him.
Okay.
To follow on to know Him. You have to
Okay.
create that desire. So when those weak times come, if they do, when they do, and they do come, what will come out of you?
Yes.
So what you do in secret will come out in public.
Okay.
So in those secret minds, or in those secret times, or in those quiet times, or those times when you're discouraged and this is not going right and this is taking so long, what's going to come out of you? And that's going to depend on what you have put into you in those non-quiet times or in those quiet times. It just depends on the situation.
And like it says, everybody is different, because what motivates you or what keeps your passion moving may be a little different.
Right.
So you have to find what will motivate you and keep you. And that leads me to the next one that you also showed me in the book, and we talked about it a little bit, that God gave you these M's. If you could put that up for me, Ron. I want you to talk about these M's, because as I was reading your book, I saw you had a chapter and you talked about the money, the marriage, the meal, manhood, medicine, music, ministry, and media. You talked about these M's, and I made a comical joke. I said, all of those M's, I don't see me in there. But but at the same time, how did you get these M's, and what do they mean as we discover our purposes through reading your book?
Well, those M's represent what is common to most of us.
Okay.
Okay, money. We need money. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Marriage. We want to be successful in marriage and relationships and things like that. Like I said before, nobody wants to get up and fail.
Right, right.
Meals. Well, we consume food. Right? The manufacturer or God has created or placed things within our hands in order to nurture these physical bodies.
Okay.
So he kind of gives us a guide, as it were, on how we should, and it's a natural thing, how we should consume food. Not being over, not being abusive or anything like that, not taking anything to an excessive. All right?
Okay.
So same thing with manhood. How to be, and this is also manhood and womanhood that deals with relationships, how to relate to one another, how to socialize, how to get the benefit, how to be a blessing to one another.
Okay.
Medicine. God created the leaves. He created things around us in order to be a blessing. Now, the question is, not to be abusive or anything like that, but there are plants like we know about marijuana, cocaine, and things like that. But those things can be used to be a blessing or a benefit, not taken in excessive.
Right.
But if God created everything and He created everything good, then it can be a blessing and a benefit for humanity. But what happens is, since we don't know the manufacturer, we're not connected, we're trying to operate independent of them. And then we abuse one another, and we abuse the environment there around us, and then the leaf, as it were, is mastering us instead of we mastering things that are going on around us. We're going to music. Music is God has placed within each and every one of us.
Take that down. Yes.
A larynx, and He has placed some chords within us. And He is, and I'm not a singer in terms of singing per se, but what I come to understand that music is a very beautiful vehicle in order to bless humanity, bless ourselves, encourage each other, and also to worship the Almighty God.
Yes. It's music is healing. It's therapy for the soul.
Yes.
You're absolutely right. And I know our time is leaving soon, and you talked about ministry and the media, and we know what the media can do. But you're absolutely right with when you begin to seek after God's own heart and you begin to look within yourself as He shows you, I really do believe that the real you began to surface. Because when you place people in their right environment, you know, it's like a beautiful plant. Yes. It will grow. Yes. And I think that's what you're saying through your book, The Manufacturing Manual, is in order to discover your purpose, you have to understand why you were created and who created you and depend upon the source. Because we can't detach ourselves, can we?
No, we
from
can't.
this.
No.
You know, when
you're absolutely right.
I'm looking at now, they're trimming the trees in my neighborhood because they're getting entangled with the wire. But last week, they have not come back and picked up those trees. They're not green anymore. They're dead. So when you detach yourself from the manufacturers, that's where you lose sight of purpose. Yes. So tell me where you're going now, because the last time you were here, you were starting your book signing, and I know that you've been on a lot of tours. Tell me a little bit about your tours and how people can find you. And I think you relaunched this book. It's the new book, did you relaunch the book or?
Yeah, kind of,
Okay,
yes.
so tell me a little more about your book signing, where you're going, where you've been, and any special events that you got coming up, and how people can find you.
Well, you can go to let's start with my website.
Okay.
www.allenswilson.com. You
Okay.
can go to our website and it tells you about the book, and also you can order the book. Also, you can check me out on Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. Allen Wilson Writes for Facebook. For Twitter, Allen S. Wilson, and then also for Instagram, Allen S. Wilson. We've got a lot of events going on. We've got an event that's coming up.
Oh,
We're going to be at, I think it's called BZB. I'm trying to remember what it is, what the event that's coming up.
Is it posted on your website?
We will make sure it is posted on the website.
Okay. So you can go to
on
his website for his upcoming event.
And that'll be it's coming up. Actually, it's coming up this Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yes,
You're going to
yes.
be, is it here locally?
Yes, it's in Washington, D.C. And matter of fact, I do got a pamphlet right over there. But I didn't bring it to
okay, that's okay. They can go to your website or your Instagram page or your Facebook page and see where you're going. If
Yes.
they want an autographed copy of your book, are you, your book, Kindle, Amazon, are you
It's
selling
on
it?
Amazon.
Okay.
It is on Amazon. It's also on Books a Million.
Oh, okay.
Not Books a Million, Barnes & Noble. I'm sorry.
Barnes & Noble.
Right,
Oh, you're
yeah.
really getting out there.
Yeah.
That's good. You must have a really good PR marketing person that's out there.
Yes.
Who has helped you publish the book? Who's your marketing publishing?
Mr. Matthew C. Horn has really done a great job in mentoring me, training me, and showing me the ropes, and just getting out there doing great public relations for me. So, yeah.
So it will be posted on his site as
Yes,
well,
yes.
Mr. Matthew Horn. Okay, yes, he's done a great job in putting you out there. What is it like when you do the book signing? What have you noticed, and then before we close, what is the number one question that people come up to you to ask you about this book? What have you discovered?
Why?
Why?
Why am I here?
That's that three-letter word that can change your life.
Yeah.
That three-letter word,
Yes.
why?
Why? Everybody wants to know why. And no matter what's going on around the world, and we know there's drama and different events and things going on, but why? Why? Why is this happening to me? Or why am I here?
Right, right. And that's, again, like he says, that's that three-letter word that even from a child, little children ask that question, why, mommy, why, daddy? And that's a question that God never intended for none of us to be in the dark. So if you want to know the answer to that three-letter word, why am I here? Why was I born? What am I called to do, and how will I be able to do it? Pick up your copy of the Manufacturer's Manual, Discovering the Purpose of You, the Product, by Allen L. Wilson. Remember, go on his website. You can go on at Allen Wilson Wright, his Facebook page, his Twitter at Allen Wilson, and Instagram at Allen Wilson, and purchase a copy of his book so that you can discover who you are. I thank you again for your service, but this is also a service too, because when you can put, I don't care, Mr. Wilson, you put one person on track to discovering their person, you have taken one person out of darkness and put them into light. You have made the kingdom of God brighter.
Oh, thank you.
So I thank you not only for your military service, but your service to mankind in helping us to stay on track. You motivated me today and to stay focused on my purpose and my assignment. I want you to stay on yours. You're doing a great work. Continue doing what you're doing. And 2020, I want to see you back here. You're welcome here anytime.
Thank you, ma'am.
So
Appreciate
thank you so much,
God
and I
bless you.
look
Thank you.
forward
Thank
to
you.
seeing great things happen in your life.
Appreciate it.
All
Thank you.
right?
Yes.
All right. We love you. That does it today for QetvLive Show with your host, Mrs. H, and with my special guest co-host, Mr. Allen S. Wilson. Remember, go on his Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Pick up your copy today of the Manufacturer's Manual, Discovering the Purpose of You, the product. We love you. Happy holidays and have a blessed day. And remember, Jesus is the reason for the season. We love you. Bye.